another message from your local fortune teller. This is probably going to get interrupted, but that's okay. I expect it. There's been a lot of interruptions this morning, but despite that factor, there's a lot more other than the last video when my phone cut it short. So again, I'm going to get right into it. So for astrology, there's also elements: fire, water, earth, and air. There's 12 elements, so the dividend of the 3 elements equals, in numerology, of 4, creating structure. 4 is a structure because it has 4 points and it's equivalent all the way around. Another important factor to remember is that astrology influences our energies in a physical sense just as much as an emotional and mental sense. So the reason that I can dictate various things based on, the reason I can guess people's signs sometimes is simply based off their facial features and such, and their behaviorisms when they're physically moving around. So a fire type is dynamic, outgoing, quite literally fiery. They're not going to shoot fire from their fingertips, but their personality is going to be feisty constantly, and there's a restless nature to them. So their adaptability is extremely efficient, and their willpower is great, but they usually get bored easily because they learn fast. Earth signs, like Capricorn, Taurus, or Virgo, are down to earth, usually stubborn, extremely dependable, and efficient at what they do. They're known for routine. They're often workaholics, but the Virgo is mutable, so it's more likely to be a stubborn person who is surprisingly flexible, which often adds a lot of flexibility in their ways. But aside from that, water signs are emotional, very sensitive, and intuitive. Their sympathy usually runs very strong, and their emotional values are higher than their intellectual or physical values based off the rest of their natal chart. With the natal chart, it basically goes into the fact that each planet has an influence. If you're a sun sign, like say you have Sun in Leo, or you have Sun in Taurus, that doesn't make up your entire personality. There's 9 other influences, including many, many more, that are going to affect who you are. So a lot of people that disclaim that astrology is true simply haven't looked into the finer details. They just have looked at a glance at it, become skeptical, and go, no, this isn't scientifical, this isn't true. I have proven that wrong. Anyway, last but not least is the air signs. They're not last in, the order that astrology works, but I'm going to talk about them last anyway, so deal with it. Geminis, Libras, and Aquarians are the air signs. Air signs are intellectual, extremely social, flexible, adaptable. They're somewhat aloof, inconsistent, kind of detached sometimes. I'm also doing a study on abnormal psychology relating how astrology affects particular mental disorders, and how mental disorders could simply be personal behaviorism traits rather than actual things like schizophrenia or ADHD or things like that. Because in psychology, the idea of nature versus nurture. Nature is when genes are in play, and you can expect a person to be something based off science or looking at nature. Nurture is when you're placed in an environment, and what you are taught or exposed to affects your personality. And this has been discussed for a long time in psychology. With psychology, astrology, geology, astronomy, and physics, they're all tied together, and they all tie together with mathematics usually. At the end of the day, because numerology, which is the study of numbers and their specific needs, are things that define the structure of different sacred codes. I'm going to do a geo-magic video, and I'm going to do a mathemagic video showing the hidden or unknown forces that happen to lie in the earth, and the unknown forces that happen to lie in math, and why it has worked for trillions of years. But like I was talking about last time with the modes, if you're a mutable sign and a fire sign, which would be Sagittarius, the mutable, like I was talking about, means you're very easily adaptable and flexible, kind of inconsistent because you're flexible, but it's easy for you to change to your environment. That's the way that you express your energy. The type of energy in this case would be fire. So you have the type of energy you have and how it's expressed or how it reciprocates. If you're a fixed sign, like I was talking about in my last video, you have a structure and you're stubborn. If you're an earth sign with that, it's going to amplify that. That's all I have time for today. Learn stuff.